What up is Marcus Dynasty Football Dad. So we are doing, would you rather have a wide receiver 1 on a team or a wide receiver 2 on a good team? So for example, we talk about Chris Godwin, we talk about Adam Thielen. There's plenty of wide receivers that are clearly the beta. T. Higgins is another one, for example, versus the alpha, Deontay Johnson. So or Michael Pittman or those types. We went back and so a question was proposed to me because I am down on some of the wide receiver 1s on particular teams. For example, when somebody says, well, Juju or MBS or Sky Moore, somebody out there has to be a wide receiver 1 for this upcoming year. Same for Green Bay. Same for a couple other teams as well. And so I went back into the kind of the research atmosphere, looked from 2010 to 2020, and I found some documentations and stuff. There has been 43 instances lately over the last 10 years, that there has been 2 top 24 fantasy wide receivers. That's all we care about. Fantasy wide receivers. An average of 4.3 instances per year. So just think about that. We had players like DK and Tyler Lockett last year. We had players like Mike Evans, and we had Chris Godwin last year. And there's going to be some of these instances up in the upcoming year. T. Higgins was 24th, and you had Jamar Chase that was up in the top 5. So you're going to have potentially these wide receivers that are alphas, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, or you're gonna have Deontay Johnson and stuff. You're gonna have these guys that are gonna be hyper targeted. But would we rather have those players or some of these elite wide receiver 2s on their teams? In some cases, I would rather have the wide receiver 2s, even if it is dynasty. Like T. Higgins is one of my favorite wide receivers, and comparing him to a Deontay Johnson, I would rather have T. Higgins. And clearly, this is actually what started the debate because the guy that I was talking to, one of my good friends, said, hey, I would easily rather have Deontay. More targets, clear alpha, doesn't matter about the offense. He's going to be a better fantasy wide receiver. And I said, well, yes, you're going to have a couple years older. I said, well, there's a chance that there's still good chances that T. Higgins, only being 23, can finish as a top 12, 15, even top 24 wide receiver. And he was like, well, I don't see that with Jamar Chase being there. And I'm like, well, there's 4.3 instances per year now that I've researched over the last 10 years here that we have found that's what, I mean, you're going to have it every single year. And we look at other teams and go, okay, well, what are the other teams going to be? Well, we had to kind of go into take research and go backwards. Well, over 70% of these 4.3 instances have a QB1. Well, let's look at some of the QB1s. You have Dallas, probably not going to have more than one wide receiver weapon. You're going to have CeeDee Lamb. You're going to have Josh Allen. So Josh Allen, you could say that this may be a good sighting for Gabriel Davis because you have Diggs and somebody else. You have Patrick Mahomes, who has no elite wide receivers potentially right now. Tom Brady. So you have Chris Godwin, who's going to be hurt, so probably not Chris Godwin, but you're maybe on a points per game basis. And Mike Evans, you're going to have Joe Burrow, so you're going to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, likely to repeat what they did last year in 2021, being 2 top 24 wide receivers, especially the last half that T. Higgins actually produced, which was excellent. I mean, he started off slow and then just bursted onto it. You have Lamar Jackson, who we know is a QB1 fantasy-wise, but look at what is going on receiver-wise. You have Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, and that's going to be kind of your 2 top answers, but I mean, Mark Andrews is a tight end. And we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has been drafted as a QB1, so he could potentially produce A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, 2 top 24 wide receivers, which I am actually predicting that will happen, and I think that Devontae Smith is being sold at way too low of a value. I would rather have him than any other wide receiver in this 2022 draft class, which I know is a bold-ish statement, but he's being drafted after Drake London, Treylon Burks, and Garrett Wilson, and I would rather have him over all 3 of those wide receivers. So then we have to figure out, well, who are the other quarterbacks? You have Herbert. Well, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were both top 24. Maybe they also repeat. They could be a repeat thing, and so that's why Mike Williams, I think, is sometimes being underdrafted. You talk about the first 5-6 games of the year, you were talking about Mike Williams being potentially the number 1 receiver. Him and Kupp were like 1 and 2 of like, this is what I would rather have it the rest of the year. And then Mike Williams fizzled off, but I think that Mike Williams can repeat. So you're going to have a lot of these wide receiver 1s like DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman maybe. will fall into that category now. You're going to have a lot of these wide receiver ones, but it doesn't necessarily, of their team, but it doesn't necessarily going to mean that they're going to be better than these wide receiver 2 on elite offenses. So I think that's just something that we do have to note, that you're going to have some of these offenses. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but I would rather have, like, Terry McLaurin is somebody that I just keep moving down my boards because I would rather have a Devontae Smith, clear B, could be an A on that, in that aspect. Look at Judy and Sutton. Like, those are potentially 2 guys that both jump into the top 24 with their quarterback change. And so the argument here, I mean, really, it comes down to it of some people are going to still want the wide receiver 1s on their teams, and somebody is going to want the wide receiver 2s at a slight discount, and I'm willing to take the wide receiver 2s on really good teams at a discount and be totally okay with it. Is your potential of being top 5 less? Probably yes. I mean, I would say yes. But look at what Mike Evans did. Top 10 season. Look what Jamar Chase did. Top 5 season. Justin Jefferson, still top 5 season, considering that Adam Thielen started off at a points per game basis really well and kept stealing all the touchdowns. So you can still have elite seasons. You're going to have Cooper Kupp. Who's going to be the other side? Is it going to be Allen Robinson? Maybe for a period of time. Do they bring back Odell Beckham Jr.? I wanted to kind of bring the calmness after saying, you know what, it's okay that you have a wide receiver 2 on a specific team. You need a good quarterback that helps 70% of the time. It's like 73% of the time, but 70% of the time or more, you're going to have that QB1. It's going to be important to have a good QB, but if you don't, still there is that 30% chance that you could have a quarterback that is not great at fantasy, but yet gives 2 good fantasy wide receivers. And so that is my whole little spiel today. Because I had the argument. So name your favorite wide receiver 2 that is being underdrafted. Mine is Devontae Smith, of course, because I love myself some Devontae Smith. Let me know what you think. All right, peace out. This is Marcus, Dynasty Fun. I'll see you tomorrow.